What's up, everyone? In this series, we're going to be creating a RPG game in the console and teach you some C++. So, this right here, just a disclaimer, this is the beginning class, or the beginning video, which teaches the basics. If you already know the basics, feel free to skip it. You don't have to do this one. But I'm not going to show you how to install an IDE or anything, so there's plenty of tutorials out there for that. So if you know how to use Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, I'm using 2022, which is kind of outdated now. I need to update it, but that's what I'm doing. And so first we'll create our project. We're going to be using C++ for this. I have C# selected by default because I've been doing mono game, but we'll just change it to C++ if you haven't. We're going to create an empty project. We're just going to name this IronVail RPG. That way we know what it is. And now it's created. Now, me personally, I like clicking on, when I do C++, I like clicking on show all files, which we have no files. So I'll just right click on it. And I'm going to add a new folder. If I can find it. There's add new folder. And I'm just going to name this SRC for source. And what we need is add a new item inside every. You need a main function, so I just named this main.cpp. Inside every C++ thing, you need a main function. Then it doesn't have to be a main CPP, but it's real good practice, at least in my opinion, to have main. So first things we'll include IOStream, and we'll be including a few other things as well. Let me look. These are things we're going to use, and I'll explain it in this video. If you already know the basics, then you already know what I'm doing. So we'll include vector, and we'll also put hashtag include string, but make sure you do it like this. All right. Now, just to get started, I'm going to put int main like this. And you don't have to put return anything, but always put return 0 at the bottom. It's good practice. And just to make sure it works, we're just going to type in std cout like this, hello game, because we're making a game. And then I'll put this slash and then an n there. That's the slash that's above the enter key, which just means create a new line, because you could do something like this, std end line, but that flushes the buffers. And while it doesn't really matter, why some cases you may want to do that, we're just going to save a little bit of performance here. And first we'll just make sure before we do anything that it compiles and runs. Hello game. All right, that works. Now I'm just going to delete that out. Now we're just going to talk about some basic data types or basic types. Just put a comment here. We'll start with, let's say, because we're making this right here isn't going to be actually used in the game, this code. We're just teaching you the basics. This is an int, which is an integer. So what that basically means is it's a whole number. And we will also want to use it for something like health, because it don't make no sense to have half a health. I mean, you can use float for health. It really depends on how clear you want it to be. And we'll also use a max health. And we'll have a current health. And we'll do it like this. So the reason we'll do this is because, you want to have your current health without changing your max health. So if you use a potion, you know that it can't be higher than max health. Just explaining it. I'm not going to put any notes because it's pretty self-explanatory with good code. We're just making current health equal to max health to start. Now, while we won't be moving, since this is a console game, sorry for hitting that, so we'll put player speed. I'm just showing you, for example, how to use every type. When you use a float, you have to put an F at the end. This is a decimal number. Decimal number. I'm just going to put less precise. And I'll explain each type. Now, we'll use a double for this called critical chance. If I can spell. 12.75. Now we'll say a double is also a decimal number, but it's higher precision. If you're wondering what that means, that just means that we can have more decimals out to the side. And in my experience, I've never had to use them, although there is use cases, but I can explain, like if you create an infinite sized voxel world, you will want to use doubles because while it can't go infinitely, like on Minecraft, how you get problems after so far in other games, doubles will make it where it's much more precise. It's what you'll use for the positioning. Now, Boolean can be true or false. So we'll just say is alive is what we'll name it for the character. And now, now this doesn't mean anything, but a character, you can use if you want something really small, straight to the point. We'll put this player rank. But to do a char, I'm just putting a D. This doesn't mean anything. D rank character. Let's put this as a single character. That's what a char is. And now how you use the strings, you don't just do that. You have to put std, string, player name. Now just put, it's a string, which is also known as text. Now, what some people you see in a lot of videos will do, they'll do like using namespace std. And then when you do that, you don't have to type this anymore. You can just type in plain string. I'll show you. But I think that's bad practice because of naming collisions. So it's good to know where everything comes from, and you really don't save that much time, especially when you have like the auto typing. So that's why I don't do that, because you can have problems because multiple libraries may have a string and you may have multiple libraries in your project. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about a constant. So we're going to put a constant int max, and usually when doing constants, it's good practice to make it all caps. Good practice to do that. So I'm just going to put 10. So this cannot be changed after it's initialized here. It can only be set to 10. Now we're using IOStream, and we already said we printed something out. So let's go ahead and this isn't going to be our game. We're going to delete all this, when we start a project, but just to show you. std cout, enter your character name. And then you just do std cin, and then, but you remember how we had the string earlier called player name? And also, let me see, I forgot to put the arrows. You need to have the arrows pointing in or to the right. And then we'll have a message after this. So this cin basically means that you're taking text from the user. Cout sends text out. So we're putting something into that variable. So now we'll put std cout, welcome. Make sure I have that space in there. And now because it's a string, we can just do player name. Now we can do exclamation mark and a new line, just like so. And that'll work. And we'll just add one more just to show you how the flow of this might go. We'll do stuff to make this easier to type, so we'll do all this typing later. And then we'll put your starting level is, if I can type, put the space, actually, I'll just put that, then a space, and then player level. Oh, I didn't spell it right. Player level. I made it with a cap. That's okay. Capitalization matters. Now we'll talk about some other type. I know this is all in main, but that's okay for now. We'll talk about like a little bit of operator. So we're going to put our damage as 15. Now we'll put current health equals current health minus damage. Or this is subtraction. Or you could do, I'm going to put this back, minus equals damage. That's a shorthand way of doing it, but this is more explicit, so I'll leave it like this. Once you get used to it, you'll want to do the other way. Probably. I don't know. You might want to see it explicitly. So then we'll just say std cout you took damage. I forget also I need to put a little space at the beginning and then put damage. Then we'll add a new line. Next, we'll just say that we'll say what the current health is. Current health. Just put a space there. Current health, and then we'll do this. Then a new line. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and compile this just so you can see it before we do anything else. Our hero name should be right here. All right, enter your character name. We're going to be Bill. Why not? Welcome, Bill. It says your starting level is 1. You took 15 damage. Current health equals 85. See, so nothing too scary. Now, arrays are fixed sized. So we're moving on to something a little bit more complicated. So we're going to type in std. And arrays can have a type. We're going to create a string array, which just holds names. You know, we're going to name it enemy types. And to create an array, we just put these brackets after, or these square brackets is what I call them. Then how many items we want them to hold, which is 3. And now we can put these little brackets here. We can put goblin, then a comma. You can initialize. Because it's string, they need to be in quotations. If it was numbers, we could just pass in numbers. Skeleton and slime. And just like so. And now we have an array of 3. It's worth noting that even though this is 3, the array index starts counting at 0. So goblin would be 0, skeleton would be 1, and slime would be 2. There's not a third. I mean, there is a third, but it stops at 2 because it starts counting at 0. So just to show you this, for instance, we'll say int I, where this is a for loop if you've never seen one. This is how we can loop through something. And I equals 0 if I is less than 3, because we know how many is in there. I'll just say I plus plus. We're not doing anything too crazy, keeping it simple. We'll do std cout. Then we'll do enemy types. I. Then we'll do a new line. Just like so. So now, when we do this, we can print out our enemies by accessing them directly. So we're going to be Bill again. We have a goblin, skeleton, and slime. Now, vectors, something that can change in size or not be set to one side. We'll just use this as common practice, std vector. And we're going to create this of type string right now. And we'll just name this inventory. And this is how you add stuff. Right now we're just adding strings, so it's not really adding anything. It's just, you know, the words we're adding, but it's just for showing you how it'll work with real items. So inventory dot pushback health potion. Then we can do the same thing again with something else. Inventory dot pushback iron sword. Now we'll just print out again. What we'll do here is cout your starting inventory. And also, before we do this, I'm going to put a new line in front of it, like that. Maybe I'll put it like that. A new line after. So we'll get a nice little space. And now we'll go create another for loop for I equals 0. And now we have the vectors have a property we can use. So if I is less than inventory dot size, and it's a function, so it's got to have the parentheses after I plus plus. Then we'll do std cout inventory I slash n. So now when we do this, I'll show you. We're going to be Bill. This is your starting inventory, health potion, iron sword, and because of the way we coded it, you know, you can pick stuff up. So we can do inventory dot pushback mana potion, inventory pushback gold armor helmet or gold helmet. Now, Bill. So we named him, and you see it works. It works because of that. Now we can create something, a loop. So bool running equals true. This is going to be how we make sure a game works. And we'll just say while running. This is just an example. Std cout new line, choose an action. New line. Now let me put that extra call in there so there's no error. Now we're not actually doing this now. I'm just showing you how it will look. Explore. We can do that. Std cout 2. Show inventory. I can put the space here, it doesn't matter how far it's spaced out. As long as what matters is the space in between the, what do you call that, quotations. Now we'll do std cout 3 will be quit. And then we'll have int choice. Create one this way. See, I meant to hit a semicolon there. Now we're not getting an error. Then we'll std cn choice. And I'll just say if choice is equal to 1. Okay, so we're going to put if choice is equal to 1, we'll do std cout. Let me see where I was at. Took out my notes. All right, so if choice 1 is going to be explore, so then we'll print out you explore. Of course, you'll have more actions. You explore deeper into the dungeon. Just like so. And because we want it to be 1, we'll do else if choice is equal to 2. And if that's it, we'll do std cout because that was our show inventory. We'll say, let me write this. We're going to put a new line. Got to put that. I forgot to put the quotations. New line. Then I'll put inventory. And put a new line like that. So that way, let's get a little space there. Now we just do our code from earlier. You can just copy this. Now, because when we have a third choice, we'll just do else. If it's not any of the others, you know, we'll just do it. We could handle a case to where if it's not, if somebody enters in the wrong choice, I'll put else if here choice is equal to 3. We'll go ahead and show you how to handle that if somebody puts invalid input. So we'll put std cout. This is for Goodbye. This is for when they quit. Adventurer. Like so. And then we just put running equals false. And then else, meaning it's not any of those cases, we'll put std cout. Please make a valid choice. You peasant. Yeah, I'm gonna add that in. And now we got that. We should be able to run. We're gonna be Bill. We're gonna explore. You see that? You chose to explore. You explore deeper into the dungeon. We can show our inventory as it shows here. We got a log of what all happens. We can enter in a 4 because we don't have a 4. And that broke. Found our first bug. So, right now we have it where it breaks if you enter a letter, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later. But we know that everything else works. So now if we enter 3 to quit, goodbye adventure. And this has been it for the basics video. So hope to see you guys in the next part. We'll continue on our little adventure here and we'll get some stuff going. All right, I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.